Today's guest is a former top American pro player reaching a career high of number 7. He won the Australian Open in 1980. He was a 4-time All-American at UCLA and has been named to many Hall of Fames, including the ITA and NCAA. After his pro career, he found himself coaching on the WTA and ATP with players that you might recognize, like Greg Rusedski, Max Mirny, Andre Agassi, and many, many more. Today, he has a tennis academy in Southern California and has helped develop a groundbreaking new tennis instructional platform, which just might revolutionize the way that tennis players learn. It's called the Full Court Tennis app. And welcome to Talk Tennis, Brian Teacher. Thanks for joining me.
No, thank you for having me, Michelle. Thank you.
Well, let's start a little bit from the beginning. So what's your background? Give me a little bit more how you got into tennis, how you decided to become pro. You also played college. Give me your little path and we'll go from there. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. I grew up in San Diego, Morley Field Public Parks, in the late 50s, early 60s, it was really the only place to play tennis. There weren't even, there was La Jolla Beach and Tennis Club, which was too far away and we couldn't afford that anyway. And so Morley Field was where it was happening in tennis in San Diego. And so all the kids that wanted to play would basically come hang out at Morley Field. And it was a great public park atmosphere. They ended up expanding from 8 courts to 22, and you just would show up after school and start playing tennis. And there wasn't a heck of a lot other to do than play tennis or play baseball or whatever. So I like tennis better.
Nice.
So just would hang out, start playing, and then, would play the tournaments, got good enough to get a scholarship to UCLA. And I played at UCLA, went 72 to 76. So, pro tennis, the first Open at the U.S. Open was the first pro in 68. So basically that was Arthur Ashe beat Ocker. And it was kind of very exciting to see. I remember he won $14,000 was the first prize check. And I said, wow, this is exciting, right?
Yeah.
So I went to UCLA and I started playing. I started doing better, and by my sophomore year, I'd kind of risen up to the top of, the college ranks. And I won the Pac-8 singles and doubles, which was the toughest division in the country. And I said, wow, maybe I might be able to try this pro thing. And and that was basically, so I stayed another couple of years. So I loved school at UCLA. It was, you're having the time of your life in college. And so I stayed 4 years and then went pro. And I actually, my first success was in doubles basically. And so,
Nice.
that was, I hooked up with an Australian guy, Bob Carmichael. They called him Nailbags was his name. He was a great mentor. And we had our first success early on in the late 70s. We got to the semis of Wimbledon and the semis of the U.S. Open. And it was at that time where I started having this success. I said, you know what, maybe I'll be able to, make a living in this. Maybe I'll be able to be a good singles player. So it kind of gave me confidence to, to think that maybe I could be a top singles player. And so I started practicing hard and dedicating, more time and energy and figuring it out and started becoming, a top singles player. So that's pretty much, my start into pro tennis. And of course, I won the Australian Open and, sports is strange. You have the ups and downs of life going on the outside, and then you have injuries. So this is the whole thing to manage injuries. And so I had quite a few of torn ligaments in the ankles and stuff, but you make it through and you do the best you can. I played on the tour for about 10 years. And then I kind of, said I was sick and tired of traveling. So I didn't want to travel for 5 or 6 years. And then I got back into coaching and was working, traveling on the tour, working. And then I've continued to coach and work with developed juniors. And I started working with this technology, which was kind of basically the basis, which was Coach's Eye and Huddle Technique or UberSense. And I said, this technology is amazing where you could take your device, your phone, and you take a video on the court and you can scroll it back and forth and show the activity. And I said, this would be great because I was working with kids and saying they could look at their strokes and I could show them what they're doing wrong. I said, wouldn't this be great if I could take that image and then compare it to a pro image and say, oh, well, these guys have different styles of play, but, if you look at 3 or 4 pros and you say, okay, they're different styles of play, but they have certain ingredients that are pretty much the same in their swings. And we could see where your swing is inefficient and kind of work on that. So that was kind of the start of the app, and so I've been working on this for 4 or 5 years. And we said, well, wouldn't it be great to be able to hire a coach? And I said, well, what kind of coaches would we want to hire? And I said, well, I'm an ATP coach. And I said, these coaches, ATP, WTA coaches, they have their own organizations and they work with the top players in the world on the pro tour today, but nobody knows who they are. So wouldn't it be great if they could be on the app and start getting some notoriety, and people could hire them for a stroke analysis? So we added that, and then we basically said, okay, well, what about if you want a consult for a live video call? Somebody wants you to review a match or a practice session, or just to look at a match or practice session and also look at the digital, format of their stroke. So you can do both on a live video call and screen share. So the coach can set their rates, they can set their availability for certain times, and you can hire them right there in the app. And you get a notification, and you enter a Zoom type room like here, and you can go over any type of any content on the internet at all. So wow. The app hooks up to Dropbox seamlessly inside, so you could install a link of a match or practice session, but you could go anywhere on the internet and look for whatever content you want to look at. And we just added this incredible feature for academies, so you can go into a lesson space where you can analyze video, you can give tips and drills, and you can add multiple students, multiple coaches, multiple parents, whatever, so you can all be on the same private lesson space. And then we've got this this feed, which is it's kind of like a Facebook feed, but it's with technology, so that for a coach or player, you can post, we've got 15 channels. You've got a lot of subjects in tennis. You've got all the ground strokes, the serves, the volleys. So you can post all those things. You can post tips, drills, analysis, mental training, physical training, nutrition. So all these channels, you can search and do a deep dive for what type of subjects you want, and you can interact with the coaches. It's a free download, and it's always free to interact with these coaches, the world-class coaches. So we're trying to build this global community, basically, and I'm excited about it. It's very cool, and the bottom line is, when I use the app, it makes me a better coach. When I'm on the court and I'm taking the video and I can slow it down and look back and forth, I can't see, even with my background of being top pro player and a top coach. It's hard to see exactly all the minutia or minute detail of what's going on, and so this breaks it down in such a way that I can show the person and I can see it in better detail. So it makes me a better coach to understand what the swing's doing, where it might be off. And then when I can compare it to, hey, look at this. Let's look at Taylor Fritz. Let's look at Steve Johnson's forehand, who are the players I have in the app, the pro players. And so, you start getting a good understanding, and it makes me better. And so it's going to make if it makes me a better coach, with my experience, I figure it should make 98% of the coaches better, right?
Oh, I hope so. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm excited about it. We've been kind of in this soft launch era of just keep working on the technology and getting it out there. It's on Apple Store, but we're now doing podcasts and publicity and trying to get this thing going. So I'm really excited about it.
Well, and how many times are you on the court with someone and you're like trying to explain like a more efficient way to hit a shot, and like they just either aren't understanding the words or the motion, and it's just like this. I could see how helpful this would be, like being able to break it down and say, okay, this is you. This is what someone else is doing that's a pro player and is super efficient with their stroke, and like that's what we're trying to emulate. So sounds great.
How about that problem is all the time?
Literally all the time. I literally have that. I had that problem yesterday with someone. I was like trying to explain a short angle and like how it was different from flattening out. Anyways, there was a lost in translation.
you gotta download the app, and I'll show you exactly. We can do the Zoom type of call, and I can screen share and show you exactly what to do and how to work it. It's not difficult.
That's awesome. Also, maybe you can talk a little bit about this, since you've been on both sides of the pro tour, the coaching side and as a player. And I talked to a lot of pros, and they spend a lot of time reviewing footage, film, or as they call it. Talk about how the pros are actually doing a lot of that and watching film and what they're looking at when they're watching that and how it helps them improve.
Well, I think more than anything, the coach, the players, when they're playing matches, they're looking for, they're scouting opponents. They want to see what they did right or wrong pattern wise, where the errors were. a lot of times, coach and player, it's the player might think something different happened than what the coach did, because
Right.
the player is emotionally attached to what's going on, right? So sometimes it's hard for the player to step out and give an actual, an actual assessment of exactly what happened, right?
Hmm.
And so the coach he's a little more detached, and he can possibly see it a little clearer. So by sharing it together, you can look and say, well, this is what I think was happening at this point, and and look, it sure looks like it to me. What do you think? And then you can kind of come to an agreement of what you need to do to get better.
Definitely. Let's get into like more specifics about the app. You have some great people supporting you and helped develop this app. Can you talk about some of the names that are on board and how this all came together?
Well, we have John McEnroe's on our advisory board, and Katrina Adams. So those are two household names in
Yeah.
tennis. They didn't help me to develop it, but they're helping me advise me as far as full court tennis, what to do with it and where to go with it. So that's great. So as far as the development, I've pretty much, I have another partner, Steve Lehman, who, he started Premier Radio Networks, and it was syndication. It was a production and syndication of radio shows, and he had the largest production syndication in the country. He took it on Wall Street and New York Stock Exchange, and he sold it in the mid-90s. So he's also helping me. He's a partner and advising me with the company. So other than that, we've just hired developers, and kind of, you figure out what type of features you want and just kind of develop it and work towards that end. It's a lot of testing back and forth. But, I kind of developed this in the line of, because I'm a coach and a player, right?
Mhm.
So it's like, well, what would you want if you were a player and you were trying to hire somebody, but what would you want if you're a coach to try to relay the certain information?
Mhm.
So I'm coming at it from both points of view, and we're continuing to develop it and enhance the technology every day.
Nice. And let's talk about some of the coaches that are already on board and helping out on this process. Who are some names, and how did they get involved, and how did you reach out? There's someone that I saw that I used to love watching him play. So maybe I should like get on the app and emulate his backhand. But Dominic Harbody used to to me,
Oh,
his backhand is beautiful. And I saw his name and I was like, oh, do I need a coaching session?
yeah, I was just going to email him right before, and I said, "Oh, I better wait till I'm done." But yeah, so he's an ATP coach, and he's a fantastic player. And I didn't even realize it until we were talking. I saw his resume. He's got actually, he's one of the few players that has a winning record against Nadal, Federer, and Djokovic. It's crazy.
He used to practice
So
with Federer in Manhattan Beach way, way back when. So, I mean,
yeah, he's a
some people know him for
fantastic
his
player.
fashion choice, but he's got beautiful strokes. He had a great career. And now it sounds like he's got a great coaching career.
Yeah, we're excited. He's on it. We got Johan Creek on it, and Johan's just starting an academy. So we've got this new feature that 4 academies, and we're going to get to be able to add the multiple coaches and players, which will be exciting. So we're going to start working with Johan in a couple of weeks to get his academy on board. Two-time Australian Open champ is pretty good. We got Mark Knowles is on it. Mark. Actually,
Yeah.
Mark was I worked with Mark when when he was on the tour. He was #1 in the world in doubles and a great singles player. And so we've got a number of great coaches on there. Giles Cervera is on there. He's Medvedev's coach. So there's a number of good coaches on there. But the app, by the way, it's not just for great coaches. So if you're a coach, that basically is just at a club, it's for any coach. Because the bottom line is you can take footage of your students and compare them to the pro strokes. And it's for any coach in every level of play. In fact, we have like 5 different levels of play on there, from pro, advanced, intermediate, beginning, ATP. So whatever level you are, you can find content for your level. So if you're an advanced player, you don't have to look at beginning content.
Awesome. That's what I was going to ask is, let's say I'm kind of new to tennis. We saw a nice little bump in the growth of our sport through COVID, which is nice. And
Yes.
these players are now like 2 years in and they're advancing their game. And there's a lot of them that have improved and are like, okay, let's go. What's the next step? So talk me through, let's say I'm still relatively new to tennis and I don't necessarily feel super comfortable, but I want to start playing tournaments. Walk me through like signing up for the app and how I could best use it.
Okay, so you just download the app. It's a free download and just sign up. And right now, we're still giving some free stroke analysis. So we're limited. We're advertising to, for a limited time. If you download it and you basically just post a stroke, we'll give you some free analysis from either myself or one of the ATP or WTA coaches. So you can get some instant feedback basically with your game. And of course, you can literally, you don't have to have a coach on there. You can just take video and kind of compare it to some of the pros and figure it out yourself. Or you can follow their tips and drills. That's all free. You don't have to hire anybody.
Oh,
So you
that's awesome.
can self-learn on it and interact on our full court feed.
And if there's a player, I always feel like there's two types of players. Someone that's like super technical and like everything has to be perfect and I have to be in the right position. And then there's the player that's going to make it work no matter what, maybe more strategic with how they are placing the ball and whatnot. Do you have coaches that will talk strategy about like, patterns and all of that and like what to do when you're down, a break or what to do
I think, yeah, absolutely. So that would be in more of the live consult,
Okay.
basically, so you would hire them for a video call and that's when you would go over, a match or practice session or just talk to them on a like a call like we're doing here. Just, in theory, what's their philosophy? What should I do at this point in the match? Or here's actually what I did at this point in the match. What should I have done? Right.
Yeah.
So that's 100% true. Like that's so important, and that's part of the thing why I did the live consulting, to be able to hire a coach for live consulting, because no matter how good your strokes are, if the coach can't see you play in a tournament, it's hard for a lot of kids to get good, because whether it could be emotional roadblocks or they're doing a certain thing or a certain part of their technique is blocking them in a match. So it's so important for a coach to, most coaches, they're teaching, 20 to 40 hours a week. They don't have time to go watch the student play.
Right.
So if the student can bring back a video of the match, and I know a lot of the junior tournaments they can hire a service to do that pretty reasonably, that then you can go over it and you can pretty much see what's going on and help the person, whether it's technique. Sometimes a person's game looks really good, but then all of a sudden under pressure, something breaks down. So that's usually the weakest link in their technique, right? Whatever that is, right? And so because it's stress, and then all of a sudden, if there's a little stress, it's where the technique is not solid, basically, and that's where it breaks down. So it's good for the coach to see that, and or to talk to the player and see what the player is feeling also. It's all about a little bit of give and take, but a lot of times a coach can see more than the player wants to admit to. So that's always a good thing too, to see
you can't hide it on that video. Did I see that there's a way to connect with other players and possibly set up hitting sessions or matches?
Well, there's a way to connect. Yeah, absolutely. We don't have, right now, you can just message anybody in the app.
Oh,
so
cool.
A coach can message you, you can message a coach, you can send them video or text. And so if somebody can keep their profile as private as they want,
Okay.
they can have an allow group or just keep it as private as they want, or they can keep it open.
Nice.
So it's totally, and like a coach. So a coach can connect to any player in the app for a stroke analysis or live video call, or he can put his rates up and do and or either. Some people he say, well, you're not my student, so you have to hire me. But maybe for a student, he'll just connect. And then it's up to the player to say, oh, I want to block that guy, or I'll just keep it, I'll just keep it open. I'll take his feedback, right?
Yeah, nice. That's so cool. And then it sounds like you've gotten some good feedback. Or do you have any like testimonials or stories where like someone went from like not being able to win a match and now they just crushed their last tournament?
Well, I've had some amazing results in remote coaching. which even surprised me because this is all pretty new, right? So it's like, well, what really, without having somebody in front of you, what can you really do to improve their technique? Some people think, well, I really need to see that guy. I can't do this, remotely, or you're not going to get good results. But it's not true. So I basically kind of revolutionized a guy's serve, basically, like first I saw, well, his serve looks really awkward and off balance and this or that. And I said, let me see you throw a ball. And so I saw he was throwing a ball not well. And so then I took a demo of myself throwing the ball. And so then on the app, we could compare his throw to my throw. And I said, first, you got to be able to turn and load your hips and pull your shoulder back and start throwing better. So start practicing that. Now let's try to incorporate that loading into the serve. And so as soon as he started loading into the serve like he was throwing, we started making improvements. And then the incredible thing is that at the end of like probably 6 sessions of doing it on the app, in just the stroke analysis with the throwing and the serve, his serve balance was like perfect all of a sudden. He was driving up and everything, he was in the trophy position driving up and the hips were loaded and the shoulders were turned. And it was amazing. I was really impressed with the technology and how we were able to do this just remotely. So that's the type of story that that we want. Basically, hey, this thing really works, and work on it. Yeah, we can do a lot just remotely. You don't have to be in front of the person. So that's a super win-win.
For sure. That's awesome. I love that. Can you walk me through, there's some price points on the app, what all is included on the free section of the app, and then from there, how it builds up?
So right now we're still in a welcome period. So everybody, the download is free. You can get on the feed. That's free. That's always going to be free. And storing the video right now, you can take the video. Everything's free unless you're hiring a coach. If you're hiring a coach, well, then that's up to the coach what he wants his rates to be, right? So you basically there's a filter on there to look for whatever price point you want. And so you'll find those coaches that are in that price filter. But like I said, I'm helping some, people right now for this limited time that we're doing some free stroke analysis. So if people get on the app and post their stroke or message me, I'll do my best to help them. And so far I've been helping people, that want to get help, and that's what the app's all about. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do for free, and you'll always be able to do for free to learn. But if you want to hire somebody, that's a different thing. And you can always ask your coach to say, hey, coach, why don't you get on the app and let me send you some video because we can connect because I'm already paying you. Let's do this.
Yeah. What does the coaching side look like? So if I'm a coach and I want to jump on the app and start interacting, just same thing?
Yeah, it's just sign up and get a profile, and we're in that period. So, I think ultimately down the line, we're going to have a fee probably for a subscription for a coach that, might be like $4.99 a month or something, but it's completely free. And why is that? Because that'll give the coach the flexibility to say, hey, I want to make some money with this app. I want like, 100 lesson spaces with, to be able to give free lessons to my students and stuff. So it won't be an expensive fee, but, sometime in the future we'll implement that.
So it seems so easy, and like literally I have no reason, why would we not download this? I'm going to download it right now. Before I let you go, do you have any fun coaching stories that you can share from your time? If there's something that a coach said to you when you were a player, or maybe any fun stories about coaching Ruzetsky or Agassi. They're pretty fiery personalities.
Oh boy. Well, I can share, let's see, when I was coaching Ruzetsky, so, he had a huge serve, right?
Huge.
He had a huge serve, and he wanted to get good. And it's funny, we were working on his backhand, and it was one of the weak portions of his game, his return to serve and his backhand. And so we just started to get so that he could hit a topspin backhand. He was always, he had a nice slice, but he couldn't hit over his backhand. And so that was one of the weak. So we just got to be able to develop his backhand so he could hit over it. Now, he couldn't drive it like today's guys drive the backhand consistently, right? So he would use it mostly as defensive slice, and then he would basically, hit over it as for a passing shot when somebody comes in. But as we know today, that not that many people are charging the net, right? So it's a little different. This was in the late 70s. So just as we got to the point where he could roll his backhand and hit it, it was like, let's keep working on it. And it was like, no, we don't need to work on this anymore. It's fine. And I say, well, don't you want to be good? And he says, I already am good. So it was just, well, the funny thing is, there's so much you can keep improving. You see the guys like Federer and Nadal and Djokovic, these guys are always trying to improve their game. And you just never know. He did get to be like top, I don't know, 6'5", 6'7" in the world, which is pretty amazing. So he got up there, but I think he could have gotten higher if he could have kept working on some of his things. So you never know what satisfies somebody. Some people think they're good enough and they just want to stop. So
yeah. Nice. And then there's a lot of our listeners play USTA leagues or former top players, college players, all of the above. What do you think is like a good tip of advice getting to that next level? Like, is there anything that you would say? This is a very general question, obviously, like if your technique's not there, great. But to get to that next level, whether it's 3.5 to 4.0 or a junior player to a D1 college scholarship, is there anything that you would coach someone to focus on?
I say, so first of all, to get to that next level, you need to play tons of sets. You can't do it by just the kids. Too many of the kids today are just drilling. They'll do clinics and drills and this or that. You have to play sets. It's a game. You have to learn how to play the game. And every game and every player has a different style of play, and the balls come differently to you. So you have to understand how to react to those balls and learn which balls do I hit well, which balls don't I hit well. And those are the balls that you don't hit well, that you better work on your technique and figure out how to do it. So at 100%, you have to be able to play and be able to see and be able to gauge yourself to get up to that next level. Well, at this level, why am I losing that match at this level? What is my biggest weakness? So work on your biggest weakness.
Yes.
And then at the same time, try to get your strength a little better, right? So you do those two little things. Let's work on my biggest weakness and let's work on my strength. So spend a little bit of time doing that, play a few more sets, and you're going to get to that next level.
I love that.
And use full court tennis because that's going to help you with the technique, right?
Yeah. And then upload your footage to Full Court Tennis and say that moment I was up 5-4 and I choked. What happened? Oh my gosh, my forehand, I couldn't hit it. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's awesome. And then also just last thing, obviously you have a huge passion for tennis, as most of us who are still in the industry do. Talk to me a little bit about what your day-to-day is like now. You've got your tennis academy. It sounds like you're working with a lot of top juniors. What makes you so excited to still be in the sport and coaching, and what are you up to like on a day-to-day basis?
Well, more than anything, I'm working more on the technology side, and so what I try to do is look at the technology and then work with kids to see how I can improve the technology to improve not only the kids, but the coaches. So I think important part of this is to like get this information out that tennis itself, you talked about people looking at video and stuff, the coaches looking at video. That's on the pro tour. On the day-to-day coaches, unfortunately, they're not using video enough. And so what's happening is a lot of the kids that I get to see, they're already like at, between age 12 and 16. And a lot of them have poor technique that's solidified into their game. And so I hate to see that. That disturbs me to see a family, pay a coach so much money and the kid work for 3 to 4 years cementing poor technique. And what happens with poor technique is the kids eventually they hit a roadblock at this level. We're talking about moving up a level. Well, how do you move up a level at certain point? It's going to hit you in the face if your technique is bad, right? So in this day and age, there's no reason to have bad technique. We've got full court tennis available at your fingertips to help you with technique, for you to look at it, compare to the strokes. And so let's get this out there. Let's get this going. Let's get everybody improving their game so that there's no more limitations with technique. Let's get beyond that.
Yeah, well, and we kind of always joke in the industry that tennis is a little bit behind, and this generation of juniors are glued to their phones. So they obviously respond well to video. They obviously know how to upload videos, but this seems like such a natural fit. And to be able to show them like, hey, this is what you're looking like. This is what we need to look like. This is how to fix it. So
it's here. It's at your fingertips
to
improve. That's for everybody to understand. And
I love it.
It's within everybody's grasp, right?
Literally, yes. So plug the website and tell us the best way to go download and how else we can get a hold of you.
Sure. Well, right now we're on iOS, so we're just, we'll be switching over to Android, but we're still working on the technology. And so hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll solidify everything and then get the Android build. But right now we're on iOS at the App Store, and you can just download the app. And Full Court Tennis. So the Full Court Tennis, the website right now is a landing page, and within the next month or so, once you hire a coach, you're going to be able to do the live video calls on the website basically as well. So you'll have the versatility of the phone and the website.
Nice. That's so awesome. We will link everything in the show notes. So it's super easy. Literally just go download and start recording and connecting with coaches and working on improving your game. This sounds like awesome technology, especially going into 2023, which I can't believe we're already there. But what a great way to start your year off with new tennis enthusiasm, right?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Brian, for joining me. And we're super excited about this app. I can't wait to use it myself. I'm going to go download it now and try it out. And anything else to add?
No, that's it. Just download the app, and hey, message me in the app. I'm here to help anybody. Okay.
Yes. Awesome. Will do. Thank you so much, and happy hitting.
Okay. Same to you.
Yay.
Thank you.